Hello, I totally forgot to give disclaimers when I was actually filming this video. So, A, I'm not a tattoo artist, I'm just a person that likes to get tattoos. And B, I am going to be discussing self-harm scars. Nothing like in detail, it probably won't be triggering, but I just wanted to warn you guys anyways. Cool, enjoy, bye. Hi, I'm Ashton, and like 6 days ago now, I got a tattoo that covers some self-harm scars that I had on my shoulder. It is still healing and it's in like the itchy, flaky phase, but this is what it looks like right now. This isn't the best lighting, but you know. I'll put in a picture here of what it looked like fresh. You're welcome. It's still a bit sore and it's getting over the flaky growth stage, but this is what it looks like and I absolutely love it. And I just wanted to talk about it a little bit because I made a video on whether or not I wanted to cover my self-harm scars with tattoos over a year ago now. And I talked about wanting to and what I wanted. I said I wanted flowers. I still do want flowers, but I want flowers on other places in my body, not on this shoulder. I know when I got my first tattoo, I said I wouldn't be doing videos like that video for every tattoo, but this is not like that video. That video I talked about healing and I showed you like the progress of my tattoo, whereas now I just specifically want to talk about this tattoo as it relates to my self-harm scars. So this video is going to be kind of in two sections. I did ask you guys on Instagram if you had any specific questions related to self-harm scars and tattooing over them, so then I'm going to answer those. But first, let's just do the overview of this in general. So you can kind of see one scar right there going through the leaf. There's a tiny little one above right there that I'm not worried about covering. And I can feel them more than I can see them. Oh, there's a scab there still. So there's a scar right here that you might be able to see at the top of the mountain. There's one right under that at the top of that next mountain. There's one in the sky right here that I don't think you can see on camera. There's also a little one right here that I don't think you can see that's kind of through the berries and the leaves. So yeah, they're mostly concentrated like up here in that top section of the tattoo, and the rest of it is just pretty because I wanted it. The artist is Alicia Van Curren. She works out of Blood, Sweat, and Tears Tattoo in Charlotte. I will link to her Instagram below. She's a great tattoo artist. I love all of her work, and that's why I went with her. I'm gonna go over the general aspects of the tattoo before I get into all of your questions. So it took about 2 hours and 45 minutes to do like completely. The pain was maybe like a 3 or 4 out of 10. It got up to about a 6 or 7 out of 10 when she was doing the white ink. I don't know why the white ink hurt so much, possibly just because it was at the very end of the tattoo, so it like my pain tolerance, you know, steadily decreases through the whole thing. It is a custom piece, so I, you know, sent reference pictures and tattoos that she'd done before that I liked, and she drew this up for me. I specifically talked about wanting a mountain scene that looked like the Appalachians in a triangle. She added the little hexagon boy outside, which I really like and I think complements it really well. And then also while I was there, she was like, we could also add some things around the edges to like round it out and make it flow more naturally. And I was like, sure, go for it. And she's like, do you like ferns? And I was like, I love ferns. I've had a fern tattoo on my list forever. I want probably another fern tattoo, maybe on my leg. But I really love the ferns as well. I think they're really cute and they complement the tattoo as a whole really nicely. So, but I guess the main reason is honestly just because it's really fucking pretty and I wanted to cover my self-harm scars. I have a lot of self-harm scars, mostly on my like inside wrists, a few on the outside of this wrist, some on my hips, and I also have the ones on my shoulder that were tattooed over. I am planning to someday have this whole arm as a patchwork sleeve, so the rest of the scars on this arm are also going to be covered up, but this arm will likely not be, and then only some of my hip scars will be covered up, probably. Yeah. So yeah, I think that covers all of the basics. Where I want future tattoos. The scars were about 4 years old, 4 or 5 years old, and now I think I'm just gonna get to your questions. Did you worry about the tattoo artist asking what the scars were from? I didn't worry about it because I had a consultation with her, and I would recommend if you are having scars covered up to have a consultation, just because it lets the artist know what they have to work with and they can see your skin before they actually have to tattoo it, and they can, you know, make their design based on what they think will work best. So I brought up the scars in the initial email to the tattoo artist. I said I do have some scars on my shoulder. They are white and they're very thin, but they are slightly raised. And she didn't think that would be a problem with tattooing over them. She has done scars before. She was really cool with it and she didn't ask any invasive questions. So no, I wasn't worried about her asking what they were from. I'm pretty sure she knew. She was really friendly and easy to talk to, and through the whole tattoo, we were just kind of talking sporadically, and one of the things that she did bring up was previous tattoos that she's done over self-harm scars, and how she knows that it can be a very, like, healing experience. So I appreciated that, and, like, I know that she knew what they were from, but she didn't bring it up in an accusatory way, so no, I wasn't worried about it. Was it hard for you to get it, knowing that some stranger would be looking at your scars for hours? Again, no. Mainly because I know it's her job and she's done it before. Weird thing about me though, I guess, that has to do with my anxiety. When it comes to tattoos and piercings and stuff, I don't get nervous about the actual pain. I just get nervous about the social interaction. So like, if I was best friends with a piercer, I could go get piercings every day. But it's not the pain that holds me back. I really don't mind the pain of piercings. It's over so quick. The healing is worse than the actual pain. The anxiety for me comes in when I have to talk to someone new, which is definitely made easier by emailing them beforehand, not piercers, but talking about tattoos now, as well as having a consultation. Definitely having the consultation with her helped me ease my worries a little bit. But no, I wasn't worried about the physical aspect of it so much, or worried about her judging my scars, because I know that she's done that sort of thing before. Did it hurt more or less because it was tattooed over scars, or maybe it didn't feel any different? I am probably not the best person to ask about that because I only have 2 tattoos. My other one is on my lower thigh. I found that they hurt about the same, and the range of pain was more based on where it is on my body rather than the scar tissue itself. It was more painful like here than it was like, you know, in the middle fleshy part. The bold line work in general was more painful than all of the dot work in here. That said, it was quite painful up here where the scars were, and I did feel that the scars were more irritated in the healing process. But while it was being tattooed, I don't think it made a huge difference. What made you want to get it, and does it represent anything for you? I have been wanting to tattoo over my self-harm scars as a kind of way of like embracing my body, in a way of like reclaiming the parts of my body that are scarred and showing myself that I do have control over my body, but in a way that isn't harmful for me. But as for the design itself, honestly, I really love tattoos just for the aesthetic value. I love looking tattooed. I love how tattoos look on other people, and I just appreciate the art as a whole. But I do really love this design in particular for a lot of reasons. I grew up going to a summer camp in the mountains, in the Appalachian Mountains, for 8 or 9 years. And that was a place that felt very safe for me. And when I was overcoming my tendencies to self-harm, that was a very, very healing place for me. And I learned a lot in the mountains. And even when I wasn't at that camp, being in the mountains is a very just healing, lovely place for me. And I wanted mountains on my fucking body for that reason. So this tattoo just made a lot of sense for me, especially to put over my scars, because I feel like it kind of encapsulates a lot of my healing process and the setting of a lot of my healing process. So that's, I guess, the main reason why I wanted the mountains. How do you find a tattoo artist who's familiar with scar coverage? This is a good question. One, Instagram. That might be obvious, but if you scroll through someone's Instagram and they have like 1 or 2 photos of tattoos that they've done over scars, they're likely relatively familiar with it. Tattoo artists don't post every single tattoo that they do on their Instagram. And it's also a really easy, quick question to shoot them an email about, or if they have their DMs open for questions about tattooing. It depends on the artist. So look in their bio, because they'll likely say, okay, call the shop or email me, or whatever combination of ways that they prefer to be contacted. So just contact them through that way and say, hey, I am looking to get this tattoo, but I have this type of scar in this area, and I was wondering if you have experience with it. I found that it was easier to reach out to an artist that I already liked and say, hey, I want this tattoo, but I have scars in this area, than look for an artist who is like particularly specialized in scars. Do you think you will miss the scars? Weird question, but I'm getting some of mine covered soon and I'm worried I might miss them. I don't think I will. If I was covering my top surgery scars, I feel like those I might miss, but self-harm scars are different, for me at least, like psychologically. Like they're not something that I'm proud of necessarily. Like even though I do feel that they show something that I've been through, I have other scars on my body, don't necessarily need those ones on my shoulder. Something that might also help for you at least is that the scars are still there. If I run my finger over the tattoo, The tattoo itself is like flush to my skin, right? Because that's how tattoos are, they're under your skin. But the scars I can still feel because for me they are hyper raised. So no, I'm not really worried about missing them because they're not necessarily something that I want in the first place. Do the scars influence the results of the tattoo, and did it hurt more on the scars? It didn't hurt more on the scars that I noticed, but I also am not very good at judging where the tattoo artist is when they're tattooing. Tixilux Jillian has a couple videos, I think, on her tattoos that cover her self-harm scars, and she did experience more pain over the scars. But we also may have different scars, different bodies, they're on different parts of our bodies, so it really probably depends on the person. And whether or not the scars influence the results of the tattoo probably has more to do with how well you take care of it afterwards, and if your artist is experienced in tattooing over scars, and how well your skin holds it to begin with, and how old the scars are. So it definitely depends on the scar. For me, I don't think they will. Those scars are really old. They're completely white. I mean, same color as my skin, and they don't have any like red pigment here. Like my top surgery scars, right? Those are still relatively pink, and a tattoo artist probably wouldn't want to tattoo over them because they still have a pigment in them, like from the original scar. So the way my tattoo artist explained it to me was that they're going to hold pigment very similar to the way the rest of my skin is, because although they are raised and although they are scar tissue, the pigment in them is very similar to the rest of my skin. Again, that can definitely differ based on your scar and based on your body and based on how old it is and what it was from. Like surgical scars are different than self-harm scars. So yeah, I'm not a professional, but that's the way that it was explained to me, and that's my general knowledge of it. Did any of your scars start to bleed again? Tattoos bleed when you're getting them, not like a profuse amount, you're not gushing blood, but like there are needles like pricking into your skin over and over again, right? So yes, the scars started to bleed, but that's because that's just what tattoos do. Like the rest of it bled too. I don't think the scars bled any more than the rest of it did. There was a little bit of blood, but that's just because that's how tattoos are. That's not because I have scars on that tattoo. The tattoo on my thigh bled, I feel like, just as much as that one did, and there weren't any scars in the area that I got tattooed on my thigh, so. I've had this question for a while, but do you think that if someone self-harms, they're more immune to the pain of tattoos? I don't. I think it's more on a case-to-case basis. So for some people it may be. The thing about self-harm is that it varies person to person. Just light scratches can still be considered self-harm. Burning can be considered self-harm. There are a lot of different things that could be categorized as self-harm. So it's not like everybody that self-harms has experienced the same amount of pain. I feel like people's pain thresholds and the level of pain that they can take vary regardless of what they've experienced in the past. And also the pain of tattoos and the nature of the harm that tattoos do to your body while they're being done is very different than self-harming. From my experience, being tattooed is a very unique like feeling and a very unique pain. A lot of people describe it as like a cat scratch over a sunburn, but no, while it may vary like on a person-to-person level, I don't think that as a whole, people who have self-harmed are any more immune to the pain of tattoos, if that makes sense. This is a lot of questions, but this is my friend, and these are very good questions, so I'm gonna answer them. Hi, Taylor, I love you. Did they have to go over the area of scar tissue more than once? No, not any more than a normal tattoo. Again, this might vary based on the scar's location, how old the scar is, but for mine, no, she just treated the scars like regular skin as far as I could tell. We did change where the stencil was when she put it on, just to make sure that it was like covering the amount of scars that I was comfortable with and that she thought would look good, right, because she's done this thing before. But no, we took the scars into consideration when she was putting the stencil on, but I don't think she treated them any differently when she was actually tattooing. Is there a distinct coloring difference between normal skin and scar tissue? For me, no. Again, that is probably going to depend based on how old your scars are, if there is any pigment in them. But for me, because my scars were the same color as my skin, the only real difference was that they are scar tissue and that they are raised. One of the scars, as I talked about, is like at the top of this mountain here, and you can see that it's practically the same color throughout. Like, it's the same saturation of black. You don't see where the scar is in the coloring. You would just feel it if you put your hand over it. And you could see it if you looked because it is raised, but you'd have to look pretty damn close. Socially, was the experience awkward with the tattoo artist because of the context of the cover-up? No, because of the consultation, and as I talked about before, I'm pretty open about having scars and them being from self-harm, and she's done scar cover-ups before. She was really easy to talk to, and I even talked about, like, and I don't know if it's a standard thing for artists to ask, but like both of the tattoos I've had, the artists have been like, are you nervous? And with her, I talked about like, I'm not nervous for the tattoo. I'm just nervous because like socially I get anxiety. And she was like, oh, me too. And we like bonded over our social anxiety. So that was fun. But no, I didn't find it awkward because of the scars. Again, tattoo artists deal with all sorts of bodies. If a tattoo artist isn't prepared to deal with a variety of bodies, I personally wouldn't consider them a good tattoo artist. So no, I didn't find that the nature of the scars being from self-harm made it any more awkward. Again, that's going to depend on the person, but for me, I was okay with it, especially because they are so healed, and they do look like they are very old scars, because they are. That was all of the questions that I got, and I feel like I answered them all relatively well, I hope. If there's something that I didn't talk about that you want to have answered, I will gladly reply to whatever questions you have in the comments, so let me know. I hope this was helpful to any of you that may be getting scar cover-up tattoos in the future, or at least gave you an insight as to why I got this one done. So goodbye, I hope that you are confident in the body that you have, and if you aren't, then you can find a way to be more confident in the body you have. I love you, and I will talk to you later, maybe.